Dust swirled in the scorching yard of Fort Evergreen, where tempers boiled and mockery cut deep. Specialist Jasmine Thompson, a 32-year-old black woman in logistics, stood rigid in the chow line, her sleeves rolled up, exposing the butterfly tattoo etched on her rich brown skin. That's all it took. A grunt behind her sneered, voice dripping with scorn. Gonna flutter at the enemy, Thompson? Laughter exploded like gunfire, humiliation crashing over her. But Jasmine didn't flinch. Eyes locked forward, tray steady, her silence screamed defiance. They thought she was soft, weak. They had no idea what lurked beneath. Before we unravel this story of concealed valor, smash that subscribe for HeroHush stories to catch every pulse-pounding tale of heroism and justice. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? Specialist Jasmine Thompson was a force of quiet resilience at Fort Evergreen, a sprawling military base where the desert sun beat down mercilessly on everyone equally. At 32, with her coiled hair neatly pinned under her cap and her deep brown skin bearing the faint scars of a life shaped by determination, she blended into the logistics team like camouflage. Raised in a tight-knit community in Atlanta, where church Sundays and family barbecues taught her the power of endurance over outbursts, Jasmine had enlisted to honor her late father's service, a Vietnam vet whose stories of unseen battles fueled her own path. Her days revolved around the grind of supply chains, inventory logs stacked high, crates shuffled in the dim warehouse light, ensuring every rifle, ration, and radio reached the front lines intact. She showed up before dawn, her boots gleaming, her reports impeccable, no shortcuts, no excuses. If gear went missing, Jasmine tracked it down like a ghost in the night. But to the combat-hardened infantry around her, she was invisible at best, a punchline at worst. They saw her as the desk jockey, the one who typed manifests while they bled in training drills. Real soldiers fight, they'd mutter, their bravado masking insecurities. Jasmine? She absorbed it all, her soft-spoken demeanor a veil over something sharper, deeper. That butterfly tattoo wasn't just ink, it whispered of secrets buried in her past, a symbol from missions she never mentioned. Whispers in the barracks hinted at more, late-night glimpses of her poring over faded maps, her eyes distant, as if reliving shadows no one else could see. Why did she endure the taunts without a word? What hidden fire burned behind that calm facade? As the days dragged on, the cracks began to show, pulling you closer to the truths she guarded so fiercely. The mockery didn't stop at whispers, it escalated, gnawing at the edges of Jasmine's composure like sand eroding stone. In the chow hall, where sweat-soaked soldiers crammed together, a burly sergeant spotted her tattoo during lineup one sweltering morning. He grabbed her arm without warning, hoisting it high like a trophy. "Check this out, folks! Thompson's got herself a pretty little bug. Gonna charm the hostiles with fairy dust?" The crowd's laughter hit like shrapnel, sharp and unrelenting. Why her? Why always the target? Jasmine's jaw clenched, her dark eyes fixed on the horizon, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. But inside a storm brewed, memories of her father's quiet battles against prejudice in his era, fueling her resolve to rise above. She yanked free subtly, but the sting lingered, a fresh wound in a sea of old scars. It spilled over to the vehicle bay, where engines roared and grease stained everything. Two infantrymen lounged against a dusty truck, smokes curling in the air, as Jasmine strode by with her inventory pad. "Bet you 20 she couldn't strap down a load without chipping a nail." One barked, voice laced with venom. The other grinned. "You're on, no chance she even spots the anchors." Their words sliced through the heat, designed to break her. Did they see her as less because of her role? Her skin? Jasmine paused mid-step, her reflection in the truck's mirror catching a flicker of rage in her eyes, raw, unfiltered, before she masked it, marching on. But that night, alone in her quarters, she traced the tattoo's lines, whispering to herself, how much longer can silence hold? The injustice peaked in the mess one fateful lunch. Balancing her tray with precision born of habit, Jasmine navigated the crowded space when a cocky private, accidentally, bumped her hard. Food flew, clanging metal, splattered mess, a deliberate sabotage. The room detonated in jeers. "Butterfly down! Hostiles win this round, Thompson!" One hollered, applause mocking her every move. Humiliation burned hot, a fire threatening to consume her poise. Why endure this? What if she snapped? On her knees, gathering scraps with trembling hands, she fought back tears, her breath steady but her mind racing through past horrors she'd survived in silence. A kind-hearted medic knelt to assist, but she waved him off sharply. No handouts. No weakness shown. She rose, tray abandoned, retreating to a solitary corner, the weight of isolation pressing down. Yet, in those quiet hours after lights out, she'd scribble letters, unsent confessions to her family back home, pouring out the pain she buried deep. Who was she writing for? And what ghosts haunted those pages? Isolation became her armor, but cracks widened under pressure. Soldiers passing her late-night desk saw her hunched over, eyes glazed, stacking envelopes that never left. Rumors swirled. Was she cracking? Or hiding something bigger? Then, the visiting team arrived, an elite special ops unit rumbling in on armored vehicles, dust clouds announcing their presence like a storm on the horizon. These weren't ordinary troops. They were shadows, trained to spot the unseen. As they disembarked, their leader's eyes scanned the base, and locked on Jasmine mid-mockery session at the yard's edge. The taunts faded under their gaze. Why weren't they joining in? What did they see in her that others missed? The operators exchanged glances, zeroing in on that tattoo, their silence heavier than any laugh. From then on, Jasmine felt watched, not mocked, but studied. The air thickened with unspoken questions. What secret was about to shatter the facade? Subtle hints emerged, teasing the truth like breadcrumbs in the sand. One dusk, a curious private peeked into her locker, ajar just enough to reveal a grainy photo, blurred figures in a hostile wasteland, one sleeve patch peeking through, unmistakable to insiders as elite forces insignia. He squinted closer, heart pounding. Was that her? Before he could confirm, Jasmine slammed it shut, her expression a wall. No words. Just a piercing stare that sent him scurrying. Then, under the motor pool's glaring lights, her tattoo revealed its secrets, faint coordinates woven into the wings, invisible to casual eyes but screaming significance to the trained. A visiting operative noticed, his face hardening. He said nothing, but when Jasmine caught his stare, she rolled her sleeve down fast. What did those numbers mean? Lives saved? Missions cloaked? The warehouse incident sealed the suspense. A delayed arms shipment arrived amid chaos, crates pried open, texts scrambling. Jasmine stepped up, reciting specs flawlessly before manifests were even unpacked. M4A1, 5.56 mm, 7.5 pounds unloaded. Check the serials. Jaws dropped. How'd you know that without looking? One demanded. She shrugged. Manifest says so. But they knew better, the papers were sealed. Whispers ignited. Who is she really? The tension coiled tighter, injustices piling like storm clouds, moral choices looming, endure or expose? As inspections loomed and secrets simmered, one wrong move could unravel everything. But what if the breaking point was exactly what she needed? The base buzzed with unease as word ripped through the ranks. A no-notice inspection was barreling down on the vehicle bay, led by a stern captain notorious for weeding out the weak. Chaos erupted, troops frantic, straps cinched, surfaces scrubbed, equipment aligned in razor-sharp rows. Jasmine stood sentinel at her station, her clipboard a lifeline amid the frenzy, her coiled hair tucked neatly, her posture unyielding despite the knots twisting in her gut. Why now? With the operative's eyes still lingering like unspoken accusations, could she keep the lid on her past? The captain stormed in, his gaze slicing through the air, landing square on her. You there, Thompson? He barked, finger jabbing. Logistics drone, huh? Step up. The bay fell deathly quiet, breaths held, eyes wide. This wasn't random, it felt like a trap, a public test to expose her as the outsider they pegged her for. Jasmine moved forward, boots echoing on the concrete like a countdown, her heart pounding with the weight of every taunt she'd swallowed. The captain snatched an assault rifle from the rack, thrusting it toward her. Paper pusher's paradise, right? Supplies and spreadsheets. Prove you're worth the uniform. Strip this down. Murmurs swelled, unfair, rigged, she'd crumble. But Jasmine's fingers closed around the cold metal, steady as steel, her mind flashing to nights and shadowed ops rooms, dismantling far deadlier threats under fire. What if this was the moment it all spilled out? She set the weapon on the workbench, then, without a flicker, pulled a bandana from her pocket, knotting it over her eyes. Blind. Gasps ripped through the crowd. What the? Someone choked. Her hands danced with lethal precision. Pin ejected, bolt slid free, spring uncoiled, each click a thunderclap in the hush. No fumbles. No pauses. Memory surged, her father's voice in her ear. Endure then excel. From his days facing down bigotry in uniform, pushing her through her own classified hells. Less than 90 seconds ticked by. The rifle lay in flawless pieces, a puzzle solved in darkness. The armorer whistled low. That's faster than combat vets with eyes wide open. Jasmine whipped off the blindfold, reassembled it in a blur, final snap echoing like judgment. The captain's face twisted, unreadable, but the room crackled with shock. How? A voice demanded from the shadows. She lifted her clipboard, voice soft but edged. Manual covers it. Lies, they knew it was more. Her secret pulsed, alive, threatening to burst. But the real fracture came at dawn the next day. Vehicles growled into the compound, kicking up dust devils under the rising sun, a covert special forces team, ghosts and fatigues, unloading with the precision of predators. At their helm, a grizzled commander, scars mapping decades of unseen wars, his presence alone commanding silence. Jasmine hovered on the periphery, noting serials, manifests blurring in her grip, her sleeves hiked, tattoo exposed, a beacon she couldn't hide. Why did fate drag them here now? The commander's scan halted dead on her arm. He froze mid-stride, operators piling up behind him, the air thickening like before a strike. He advanced, deliberate, eyes boring into hers. Jasmine's pulse hammered. Recognition? Dread clawed up her throat. Without a syllable, he snapped to attention, hand rising in a salute so crisp it cut the tension like a blade. The yard petrified. Tools clattered from numb fingers, conversations died. Why is he honoring a clerk? A whisper escaped. No one mocked now, fear and awe mingled. The commander's voice rumbled, low and weighted. Still fighting the good fight, Thompson? She nodded faintly, the dam cracking. And there it was, the veil torn. Jasmine wasn't just supply. She'd been their embedded analyst in a Black Ops nightmare, intel wizard whose whispers turned doom to deliverance. That butterfly? No whimsy, a covert emblem for the extraction that pulled his team from Annihilation's jaws, coordinates etched in ink as eternal reminder. He'd inked one too, hidden, a bond forged in blood and silence. He held the salute, unbreaking, as truth detonated. Then, pivoting to the stunned assembly. You call her a joke? That ink a punchline? Silence screamed back. His words thundered. In a godforsaken ravine, ambushed, outgunned, we were ghosts waiting to die. Her voice on the line, routes mapped, codes shattered, strikes called, yanked us from the brink. I breathed because of her. He jabbed a finger her way. Jasmine stood rooted, humility warring with the flood of vindication, clipboard a shield against the tears pricking her eyes. Not a trigger pulled, but lives saved in the ether, her quiet war. The commander saluted anew, and it spread like wildfire, operators first, then officers, enlisted, the mockers now rigid, hands to brows, boots slamming in unison. The air hummed electric, respect a tangible force. Jasmine's throat closed, she returned it, steady, but inside, redemption roared. Warriors bowed to the woman they belittled, her tattoo transformed from jest to legend. What if one voice had shattered her silence sooner? The moment hung, eternal, a seismic shift no soul there could unfeel. But would the aftermath heal the scars, or reopen them wider? The salute dissolved slowly, hands dropping like falling leaves in a storm's wake, but the yard remained locked in reverence. No footsteps, no chatter, just the heavy pulse of realization hanging thick. The commander stepped closer to Jasmine, his voice dropping to a gravelly whisper laced with gratitude. You've carried this alone too long, Thompson. Let them see the warrior you are. Her chest tightened, a lifetime of bottled-up battles surging, her father's unyielding pride against systemic walls, her own classified nights decoding death's playbook to save strangers. She shook her head, voice barely breaking the quiet. Just serving, sir. Like we all do. No fanfare. No glory chase. Yet, in that humility, inspiration ignited, a spark that could redefine strength for every soul watching. As the special forces faded into their duties, the base transformed overnight, the Mockery's echo replaced by a profound hush of respect. Those who had jeered now averted eyes in shame, their postures straightening when Jasmine passed, whispers turning from scorn to awe. "She's the one who pulled them out. What if they'd known sooner? Would the pain have been less?" But Jasmine didn't dwell. She returned to her manifests, her tattoo no longer a target but a talisman, drawing nods instead of laughs. Meals shifted, soldiers sliding trays beside her, silent invitations to belong, healing the isolation one shared story at a time. Late nights found her letters finally mailed, words of resilience flowing to her siblings in Atlanta, inspiring them to chase their own unspoken dreams. Her endurance wasn't broken, it was forged anew, a beacon proving that true heroism whispers before it roars. Words spread like wildfire through Fort Evergreen, fragments of her feat weaving into legend, the blind disassembly a testament to unseen skills, the salute a crown for the overlooked. Infantrymen who'd measured worth in bruises now questioned their own biases, training with renewed humility, vowing to spot the quiet giants among them. Jasmine became the base's unsung mentor, her soft guidance lifting morale, turning doubt into drive. Why does real courage often hide in plain sight? Because it doesn't seek the spotlight, it earns it through fire. Her story rippled outward, motivating recruits to embrace every role, every scar, as vital to the fight. In her they saw redemption, for the mocked, the marginalized, the mighty in disguise. And in that transformation lay the deepest inspiration, Jasmine's journey from shadow to symbol, reminding all that scars, whether inked or invisible, carve paths to greatness. True power isn't in the shout, it's in the steadfast stand, turning injustice into unbreakable legacy. If her quiet valor stirs something in you, imagine what yours could achieve. If this tale of hidden heroism left you inspired, smash that like button, subscribe to HeroHush Stories for more stories of courage and justice that hit home, drop a comment sharing how it moved you, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Until next time, embrace your inner strength, because the quietest voices often echo the loudest.